Chamareni Hall.
Yes, getting to the favorite segment of this show where I get to talk to movers and shakers. You know, I love trendsetters. I like trailblazers. I like people who sit down and think, and their thinking changes the direction of many, many things. My next guest, whoa! This man is a trained journalist, at one point a renowned editor. As a matter of fact, at one point he was even a bread seller. But this man, for what he's doing, he has changed the image of Africa. Once upon a time, when you talk about Africa, we're talking about poverty, disease, and sickness. Now, when you talk about Africa, you want to stand up and give a standing ovation. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause for the man, Chief Dele Momodu. Yes! All right, Chief, welcome to the show. All right. Good to have you here, man.
I'm very pleased to be here.
Oh, it's such a wonderful experience just having you in my
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. Chief, I was checking your bio. There was a time that you were in London, broker than a church mouse. No broker as a church mouse. Broker than a church mouse. And today you are pretty wealthy. You look back on those days and what do you think? You know, hey, I've made it, man. Hey.
Well, I won't say I'm pretty wealthy. I don't know about wealth, but for me, in Africa, a lot of people see achievements only in terms of wealth.
Yeah.
But for me, that's not it. I may not be able to get $2,000–3,000 in my account, you know, but to me, that's not a big deal. What is important to me is that in the last 10 years, we've been able to build a mega brand in Africa and all over the world.
Yeah. And what I find striking about what you have done, that singular contribution to changing the image, because the dominant images of Africa that we saw, even from African media, were always at the periphery of survival, the poverty, the disease, and you chose consciously that I'll show that there's wealth in Africa. What was that?
I won't say it was a conscious effort. I mean, life is quite interesting. Ovation came at the darkest period of my life. I was on the run from the military regime in Nigeria. I had escaped miraculously into Cotonou, from where I traveled to Togo, and from Togo to Ghana, and from Ghana eventually to the United Kingdom. And of course, getting to the United Kingdom, the options were very limited. Mm-hmm. Either you wash plates, you wash dead bodies, or you do one menial job or the other.
Yeah.
But I told my God, I said, where I'm coming from, I was at least a local champion.
Yeah.
I don't want to come to London and become, you know, a deadwood, you know. But fortunately for me, I also had good advisors. You see, because when you get to a place like London, you have all manners of self-appointed advisors. If you find yourself in Brixton or Peckham, people are likely to tell you some stupid stories. Oh, this is how we do it. Raise up your hands, tear your passport, you know, declare yourself a refugee, and, you know, all whatnot. But I've met a cousin of mine who told me, he said, look, bros, back home in Nigeria, you are a superstar writer. There is not a single magazine in London that is doing well. I believe that if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And that was how the idea came about. And of course, money, funding becomes an issue. We did a feasibility report. We needed £150,000 to start small scale. Of course, if you were to sell my family from first generation to the last generation, we were not worth that kind of money, you know. So I approached the bank, and my bank, National Westminster Bank, told me that, look here, young man, you don't have any record of doing business in Europe or anywhere, you know, so how can you ask us to give you a loan? Yeah. But eventually, an uncle of mine emptied his bank account, gave me the first £10,000. I also sold all the rickety stuff that I had back home in Nigeria, and they sent the money to me. And then a few friends came, £2,000, £1,000, and that was how we started.
What was it about you and your friends that gave them the confidence to risk whatever investment they were giving you?
Well, one thing that all my friends know about me is loyalty. I'm always very loyal to a cause. I'm loyal to a principle. I'm loyal to an ideology. What got me into trouble in the first instance was my loyalty to Chief Moshood Abiola. I mean, the military government felt, what is your own in the matter? I was accused of being one of the brains behind the pirate radio station that was always attacking the military government.
But it had nothing to do with
it? Well, at that time, it had nothing to do with me. But getting into exile, of course, if they chase you out of a country for something, you must get interested or get involved.
Once you went into exile, then
so once I got, of course, and I became, of course, I was running a lot of the Yoruba programs, of course, under a pseudonym. I couldn't use my real name. My name at that time was Sali Olenugboro Eniolorun Opa. It's like a talkative, a man who talks a lot, who has managed to escape just by the grace of God.
The name again?
Saliu Elenugboro Eniolorun Opa.
I want to adopt that name, but I can't for coaching. I have to.
Oh, so every night we heaped abuses and curses on the people who were ruining our country. You know, until God answered our prayers.
Speaking of your country, I'll come back to the to Chief and your struggles to where you are. But speaking of your country, our man there says he wants to go for a third term. What's your immediate reaction to that?
Well, he hasn't told anybody he wants to go for a third time, but I know there are a lot of psycho fans who are dancing around. Well, we find that in every government, not just in Nigeria, all over the world. If you are benefiting from government, you are making millions of dollars from petrol. Why not? You will try it. But whether you will make it is another matter.
He seems to be paying attention to it to the point that there's a rift between him and his vice.
I think that's another matter entirely. I'm not a member of the ruling party, the PDP, but what I know is that all Nigerians are praying that God will perform his miracle again.
And the miracle being he would wise up and not run for a third time? Or he would run
I think if I were to go by his records, he left government voluntarily in 1979, and that's what made him a statesman. I believe he will do what is right this time.
But he's come back again, and maybe this time saying, this thing is not bad, man.
Nigerians,
one more time.
Well, Nigerians begged him to come back at a time we were down on our knees, and nobody could treat the cancer, which was eating deep into the political and social fabric of our country. But I believe in 8 years, he's done very well. A lot of changes have been brought about in Nigeria. But I think a good actor will always quit when the ovation is loudest.
And he's having his loudest ovation now. And
yes.
I hope he'll be a good actor.
The head of ECOWAS, the head of the African Union is respected everywhere. Goes into the White House, goes everywhere. He's a very well-respected leader. So I believe. Are you
close with him? You have
I have, as a journalist, I have to be close to every leader, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. And we've done quite a lot of.
So if he was to call you and say, my brother Chief, I really want to run a third time, you would say, quit while you're ahead?
That would be my advice. That would be my honest advice.
Wow. Now let's get back to Chief. What's the? There's an inscription on your hat.
The Onigegiara of Jogaland. This is the first chieftaincy title I picked up in Nigeria. And what it means is the man with the magic pen.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
The man with the magic pen. You've done some very fascinating stories. I was going through some of the episodes that you have, and there's this story. I just want to, the story of this, as you guys will see on the screen very shortly. This man who has a palace made of gold?
Yes. Aliaji Maideribe in Maiduguri, Borno State, Nigeria. I've never seen a palace like that. I've traveled far and wide. I've never seen anything like it.
And he built this to live there or to show?
Well, I wouldn't know his reasoning for building such a humongous palace. But all I know is that at the time it was built, it was said to have gobbled about $100 million. The walls in the house are made from 5 grams of gold. Even the Persian rug has some patterns made on it from 22 carats of gold. There is a particular room which is called the Room of Gold. Everything in that room is made from gold. And for me, it's more of a museum than a house to live in, and he never lived in it. He died about 2 or 2.5 years ago.
Did anybody ever live in this house?
Nobody has ever lived in that house. Of course, it's within an estate. He has a very, very big estate. He has 3 wives, And each of the wives also have their own apartments with 10 bedrooms each.
What did he do? What was it? Was he oil man?
He was into construction, he was into cattle rearing, he was into
Wow.
a lot of things.
Wow.
Yes.
What, you have Ovation and you're focusing on people like this, achievement, wealth. For you, what was the thing that you saw and you said, even for you, this is stunning?
That will be the home of Ambassador Antonio Dende Fernandez, a wealthy Nigerian who owns an island in New York.